June the 16th, 2021. Guys, I've been mentioning a video that I wanted to do, and I'm going to do part of it here. I think it's going to take more than just one, but what I want to talk about is some of the signs of the times that we're in and some of the things that we should expect. I think it's going to be interesting, maybe educational, and that's very important now because there's so much Babylon or confusion going around that it's going to be hard to rightly divide the truth if you're not very familiar with it, because we're told that many will come in my name, false prophets, antichrist, and to be aware of them, let no man deceive you. And so this is Matthew 24, one of my favorite books. It's mirrored basically in Luke 21 and Mark 13. But here, again, Matthew 24, and it's title of this short, in these short sections in the top when it says Jesus foretells the destruction of the temple. And a lot of people will say, yeah, Rome pretty much took it down. It's been in trouble several times, but there's a wall standing, part of it now, you see it. And the Temple Mount, there's parts of it that are there still that were of the original. But Christ is not talking about those times. He's talking about a different time. What happened is Jesus had been in the temple. He came out, walked down the hill, and crossed the stream and walked up on the next little hill there called the Mount of Olives. So Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. This is important because of the timing, guys. Jesus said unto them, see you not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Now, what is the conversation leading into? And it's signs of the end time and the return of Christ. This timing, guys, is going to be critical because of the deceptions. Or do you want to be deceived? Do you want to be led astray ahead of the true return? But again, he says, there shall not be left one stone upon another. Right now in Jerusalem, there's parts of that temple. So what he's talking about is complete destruction. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately. It wasn't a big crowd, guys, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall the signs of thy coming and of the end of the world? Big subject, a big question, and Christ is about to lay it on them. And so it's time to start paying attention because of what we see in the chaos of this world. All hell has broke loose. Just look around you. And Jesus answered, and he said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. That's his first warning. Why? Because of the false preachers, false prophets, and the Antichrist. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Why would people be deceived? Because they think they know the truth. They haven't really read it or studied it, but they've said it on some pew and let some preacher take their money and tell them what they want to hear, stroke their ears. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you not be troubled, for all these things shall come to pass, but the end is not yet. We're going to see these things and look at the nations now and the conflicts and think about how long that's been going on. But right now it's coming to a world clash. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in many places, but never like the earthquake that we're going to see when Christ arrives. And guys, you've got to prepare yourself. If you think angels are going to float down here on wings, you're sadly mistaken. And I'm not calling out anyone. I'm just saying, if you look around now, that's all they're talking about. There's angels with wings. Guys, you know what those wings are. If you understand the ancient Sumerian symbology of that disc with the wings, that was a flying disc. You understand? Chariots of fire. I hope you do. I hope you're not looking for winged beings, because angels are never said to have wings. They're messengers. But how do they travel? Chariots of fire. This is important for you to understand it because it's going to open your eyes to more information in this chapter. Again, the nations will rise. There will be famines. Look at the droughts coming. Look at the inflation. These are only the beginning of sorrows. Now, if you're waiting to be taken out of this before tribulation, again, you have not rightly divided the word or the timing of the word. Because Christ said, he says, don't worry, this is going to happen. Don't be troubled. It's going to happen. Accept it. And it's a sign for you. Because these are the beginnings of sorrows, not the end. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted. Again, after this famine and pestilences, they're going to be delivering you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And guys, how many people are being afflicted right now worldwide? And you know what I'm talking about. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. That's the division that Satan thrives off of. Many false prophets shall rise and deceive many. And you, again, look at your pulpits. Judgment will begin there, preachers. You better be aware of that. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. If you look at this in the Greek, it says the same shall be kept safe. But if you endure to the end. And this gospel of the kingdom, this is important, shall be preached in all of the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. And we know that the gospel has been preached around the world for many years, missionaries and other things. But guys, in the last 20 or 30 years, you've seen a lot of that destroyed because of persecution. But this time, what Christ is talking about here, this preaching is not going to be by the flimsy attempts of man. This is going to be by his messengers, the angels that he sends to the four corners, right at the end. And they're going to seal this word in the foreheads of God's people. That is how it's going to be done. Just pay attention. Now again, timing is critical. Has Christ said, and through all of this, that he's coming back yet? No, he hasn't. He says, those that endure to the end shall be kept safe. Here comes one of the key points, and many of you have read this, and I'm going to touch a couple of other sections of the Bible, but just this is a great point, or a great starting point for this message. When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. What is he saying? When you see the Antichrist, the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel, stand in the holy place, then time is very short. That's going to be one of the key things to look for. It's not going to happen, guys, yet. Christ still has not come back. Why? Because when this desolation stands up in the holy place, that's going to be one of the last straws. And our Father will have had enough. It says, let them be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of the house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. There's no time, because this vengeance of the Lord is coming very swiftly down on this abomination. Woe unto them that were with child, and to them that give suck in those days. And guys, that in Greek, if you look at it closely, they're talking about, are you a child? Have you been impregnated with the false teachings? Have you been in bed with the false preachers or Antichrist? And it's not talking about your babies. And do you give suck to in those days? Are you supporting that church and that false prophet? Are you? Or will you be? Because if you are, then you will be one of the deceived ones. So you don't want to be caught in that situation at this time. Again, what is the key? Right here, The abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel, standing in the holy place. Pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation. Christ still isn't here yet, guys. Don't get the carriage in front of the horse. Don't do that. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor shall ever be. That's telling you guys that this has not happened yet. This is what's coming. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, and there believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they should deceive the very elect. This is so key, and this is what the whole deception of the Antichrist is about. Behold, I've told you before, where if they say unto you, Listen, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it or not. So if you hear any of that stuff, you're running to the wrong one. Why? Because Christ said, As the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even into the west, so shall also be the coming of the Son of Man. Not in some desert, not in some secret chamber. The whole world will see it when he comes. For whosoever the carcass, wheresoever the carcass is, there will be the eagles gathered together. Do you want to be in that bunch in the desert in the secret chambers? No, you don't. Christ still has not come yet. We're talking about the point to where he is coming. This is how it's going to happen. Immediately, let me move this down. Now, immediately, when, after all of these things, all of the things, the false Christ, the tribulations, the famines and all, you don't want to be the first one taken and burned. You want to be put into that barn of the Lord's. It says, after that the sun shall be darkened. Listen, this is the moment. And the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and what? The powers of heaven shall be shaken. Why? Because the Son of Man is coming, not on wings, but in chariots of fire, and you know what that is. He's coming, and it will be so many and so large and such a powerful army, it will darken the sky. And then shall appear the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Why will all the tribes mourn? Because they have been following the Antichrist. The whole world will wander after the beast, except the elect. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. This goes back. This is why I said it was important to understand how that gospel will be preached, not by some man, but sealed in the forehead of God's chosen. Let's go to Revelation just a moment. Now we're going to go to the exact same moment, and this is John of Patmos, Revelation 7, guys, and if you can rightly divide the word of the Lord, which is going to be the key to salvation and you not being deceived, is to understand that you have the tribulation of man that Christ was talking about up and through chapter 7 in Revelation. When you get past that, you're dealing with the wrath of God. And that's not the people of the Lord. At that time, when the Christ comes back, we are all changed into our spiritual body in the twinkle of an eye. But we're going to see those tribulations and those things. Why? Because Christ is a purifier. He's a refiner like fine silver. How does he do that? The fire gets very hot. But what does it purify you for? It's eternal life. But here, we go into that moment when he's going to send the angels to the four corners of the earth. And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, and the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. Guys, almost like a pause in time. And I saw another angel ascending from the east. Guys, who ascends from the east? You just heard that. having the seal of the living God. Seal, same as mark. You don't want the mark of the beast. You want to have an open mind, an empty vessel, so you can accept this seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. So these 4 angels are gathering. They're going to teach, and then they're going to bring some problems, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have what? Seal the servants of God in their foreheads. So here we go back to Matthew. 4 angels. What are they there for? Because they're going to come. This is what 7 is talking about. They're going to seal the servants of our God in their foreheads by that knowledge of the true gospel. Regardless of what has happened through the translations and everything else, that will be wiped out. We will get the pure knowledge, and it will, again, not come by the hands of man, but by this time, the 4 messengers, the mighty, powerful beings. And who's delivering that seal? Is Christ, coming out of the east. Then it goes on and it talks about the number. There's 12,000 of the 12 tribes of the 144,000. So what we've got here is just confirmation with a little more explanation in Revelation 7, going back to Matthew 24. Now the next thing Christ tells to his group there on the Mount of Olives, he says, now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, you know that summer is nigh. So likewise, when you shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door. For verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass, but my word shall not pass away. We will always remember this stuff. This generation shall not pass till all things be fulfilled. 1948, the fig tree bloomed. Israel was reestablished as a nation. Many people say that this generation begins at about 70 years. So now we're at 73 years. This generation shall not pass away. We are in this time. You need to be prepared for what is about to happen. We know, we can see it in the news, that hell is breaking loose. We got to get through that part, and then we'll let the Lord take care of the rest. Now, it goes on to say, we don't know the day or hour. It doesn't say the year or the century. It says the day or the hour knoweth no man, not even the angels or the messengers from heaven, but my Father only, right? But we're giving the season, and that is it, the generation of the return and the reestablishment of Israel, the nation of Israel. It says again, we're not going to know the exact time and moment, but we're not supposed to know it, because if you knew all the secrets, you would just screw up into that time. And what the rest of Matthew is telling you, if you look at it closely, is that you got to be ready. If the goodman of the house knew when the thief would come, he would have watched and not have suffered his house to be broken into. Listen, God is telling us, Christ is telling us what these signs are. So you're going to go through the tribulation. Then you're going to see the skies darken. Then you're going to see the angels go out and seal the 144,000. And you've got many from all nations that are there as witnesses. But I want to go to the last book in the Old Testament for just a moment. It's called Malachi. Again, this is the last chapter of the Old Testament. Malachi is only 4 short chapters. Then Matthew starts up in the New Testament. Read the entire thing. But I want to go to the 4th chapter. It's just a few lines here. It says, it's titled The Great Day of the Lord. Which is exactly what we're talking about. A few things here that you can watch for. For behold, the day cometh, it shall burn as an oven. Remember, this generation, this earth age will be destroyed by fire, not by flood. The day cometh, it shall burn as an oven. And all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and you shall go forth and grow up as calves in the stall. Now this Son of Righteousness, this word S-U-N is not S-O-N. This is Shemesh. It means the actual sun. So let's go back to 4:1 right above it. How is the earth going to burn like an oven? The sun, the angel pours out a vial upon the sun, remember? And this is what they're talking about, Shemesh. First, the wicked will be burned. It's just like in the parables. The tares will be gathered for the fire. Remember, first, then the wheat for the barn. But after the earth is burned, after the wicked is stubble, but unto you that feared my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, not burning to you, healing. And you shall go forth and grow up as calves in the stall. Not only you're talking about the healing frequencies of the sun, but also the blocking of any satanic influence through technology. But again, the wicked will be burned, and you shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts. Remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded him in Horeb for all of Israel, with the statutes and judgments. Here's another sign. Behold, I will send you Elijah, the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Now, guys, this again is the dividing point coming from the tribulation of man with the return of Christ, and then the ones that are not sealed, the ones that are not pulled up. Chapter 8 begins in Revelation. And this is the dreadful day of the Lord. The wrath of God starts at the end, and then you start seeing all these disasters come down upon man, and yet they will not repent. And he shall turn. This is Elijah. Now remember who Elijah was. Most powerful of all the prophets. Was he even completely human? Because he could bring fire down from heaven. He could make the vessels keep full of wheat or oil. All of these things, right? Remember, he brought the woman's son back to life. Remember that? What else happened? He didn't die. A chariot of fire came down in front of his protege, not Elijah, but Elisha, and Elijah was taken up. He didn't die. The devil couldn't find him. Why? Because he was super powerful. He was chosen by God, and he had something to do. And what's he saying? I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord, and he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. There's going to be some enlightenment here, a great deal of it. The realization of what's real. The love of the family that's being torn apart right now. The love getting waxed cold. Those things are going to change. But the return of Elijah, it doesn't say the spirit of Elijah here. It says Elijah, and he was taken by one of these discs, one of these chariots of fire. That's how they travel. Look at the symbology in ancient Samaria all the way leading up into Egypt. But Elijah's coming back. Will he be one of the prophets? It doesn't say that. Very well could be, though. Now, remember, these false prophets are going to be so powerful in their ways that they can call down fire from heaven and all, which will be fake. It won't be this type of fire that Elijah could deal with. It will appear that way because those signs and wonders will happen. But the timing has to be perfect. You got to understand what's happening until you see the return of Christ in the east coming as sunrise, as a burst of light. There's no one in the desert except the Antichrist or in the secret chambers. And this turning of the Father's heart back to the children, guys, through great enlightenment. And through, not only that, trials and tribulations. Because, you know, the two prophets, they can shut down rain. They can do a lot of things right there. And the whole world will hate them. And they will celebrate. And they will kill them. And they will lay in the streets 3.5 days. And then Christ will return and they will rise up. And then the great earthquake. That's when Christ comes. Then, that's when he comes back. Then starts the wrath of God with 8, 9, 10, all the way through the book of Revelation. With the dragon and all that. And men won't repent. But there are signs. Elijah's one of them. Guys, there's other parts of this that I will talk about when I can get it together as we move forward in these times. But go back and study this again. Malachi, Matthew, Revelation 7 is what we went through tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe for updates. It's a heads up. Be safe.